tonight. I would like to call to order the regular meeting of the Twinsburg Board of Education. This is Wednesday, December 16th, 2015. Mr. Aho, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Stuber?
Here.
Mrs. Kane Criswell?
Here.
Mrs. Davis?
Here.
Mr. Felber?
Here.
Mrs. Turtle Waldron is absent.
I think she is on vacation now, so I'd like to ask everyone to please stand and join in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, welcome, and thank you very much for attending tonight. With temperatures in the 50s, it's kind of hard to think of this as mid-December. And if I'm correct, Mrs. Powers, Friday marks the end of the first semester of the school year, and we blinked. Seems like it was August just yesterday. Tonight is the last regular meeting of the Board of Education for this calendar year. And while we still have more work to do after tonight, this evening also marks the last meeting for myself and my colleague, Ms. Kane Criswell. On January 6th, this board will meet for its organizational meeting and will welcome two new members, Mr. Mark Curtis and Mr. Matt Solera, as the newly elected members to the Board of Education. At the end of the meeting tonight, Kate and I will offer some comments as we reflect on the past decade of service to the school district. However, before we say goodbye, there's still business that requires our attention tonight. There are two primary topics that I wish to address, which include funding for schools and also the over-involvement of the federal and state government in the public education process. Last week, President Obama signed into law a bipartisan bill to reauthorize the Elementary and Secondary Education Act of 1965. This new reauthorization legislation is known as Every Student Succeeds Act, or ESSA. The previous reauthorization, more than a decade ago, was known as No Child Left Behind Act. A few key elements of the new ESSA include concern regarding overtesting. While the ESSA still requires testing, it returns some control back to the states to set targets for total time spent on testing and to eliminate redundant or unnecessary tests. Another topic of concern has been the adoption of the Common Core standards. And of specific interest wasn't so much the standards, but rather the federal government's role in those standards. And I believe a lot of people have the opinion that the federal government has overstepped its bounds and become too involved in issues that should be managed locally. The new ESSA law states that the federal government should not attempt to influence, incentivize, or coerce states to adopt any particular standard. And this is a step in the right direction. Previously, the No Child Left Behind Act defined accountability measures which influenced the excess testing and measurement of subgroups and also provided for the requirement to prove adequate yearly progress, which was known as AYP. This measurement will no longer be used, and AYP will be replaced with state-defined long-term goals that include measures of interim progress. The National School Boards Association Executive Director Tom Genzel has stated, the NSBA applauds lawmakers for restoring local governance and working with our public education stakeholders to end the prescriptive requirements under the No Child Left Behind Act, strengthening the ability of state and local governments and board members to act in the best interest of students, parents, and the local communities. And while I believe that the federal and state government still have a ways to go to restore local control, the ESSA is a step in the right direction. At the state level, I want to highlight the continuing efforts of our superintendent. Back in October, along with Mrs. Powers and Mr. Aho, I attended a meeting with our state representatives, Representative Christina Rogner and Speaker of the House Cliff Rosenberger. The two primary topics that we discussed involved the reduction of state funding related to the loss of revenue from the TPP tax, and also the potential loss of federal funding that was related to the testing which is related to the third grade reading guarantee. Mrs. Powers has been communicating with the ODE regarding issues regarding this third grade reading guarantee testing issue. However, we were not satisfied with the response. Therefore, we addressed our concern with these legislators, and since that meeting, Mrs. Powers has worked with the legislative staff in Columbus to craft language to address this testing concern. And last week, Mrs. Powers was informed that a standalone bill may be introduced in the State House very soon. Mrs. Powers has also been working with our representatives to pursue these conversations at the federal level to address the associated federal funding issue. I believe that it's important to highlight such issues at these board meetings to keep the community informed, not only of the issues, but also to recognize the efforts of our superintendent and this board as we advocate on behalf of the district. And now I want to address a topic that is of great importance to me personally. Topic that I've talked about for the last 8 years, and I know to some maybe sounds redundant, but that's the topic of state funding and specifically the TPP tax reimbursement. In summary, the state government adopted a bill known as House Bill 66 back in 2006, and that bill called for the elimination of the tangible personal property tax, or TPP, and they replaced it with a state-controlled tax known as the Commercial Activities Tax, or the CAT tax. The intended result of that action would eliminate $9.8 million of funding to our school district over a period of years. Since I've been on the board, I have been directly involved in lobbying efforts to reverse this decision, and during the past 8 years, we've been able to extend the TPP reimbursement. Although for Twinsburg we've seen a reduction of $3.6 million, there's still $6.2 million of funding that's hanging in the balance. For districts that are highly reliant on this funding stream, the state government has enacted legislation that will eliminate the remainder of this TPP reimbursement funding, and our district stands to lose $6.2 million over the coming years. Recent legislation known as Senate Bill 208 sets in motion the following. In 2016, the TPP supplement is still intact and keeps our district the same, no additional losses. However, in 2017, Twinsburg will experience a TPP reduction of $365,000. For 2018 and beyond, Senate Bill 208 calls for the continued gradual decrease of the TPP reimbursement. Twinsburg will lose just under $500,000, $500,000 per year for the next 6 to 7 years, and then it will be completely eliminated. It's expected that by 2024, the remaining $6.2 million will be completely eliminated. This board, past and present, has taken a conservative and strict approach to managing the financial condition of this district and has done so with a long-term strategic view. This debate regarding continued reductions of the TPP tax reimbursement must continue. This is the one issue that I believe could have the most significant impact on the long-term fiscal health of this district, and it is a topic that I ask our administrators and my colleagues to remain focused. The decisions that have been made during the last decade have stabilized a fiscal situation that could have been severe had no action previously been taken. We've righted the ship and we continue to move forward, and it's my hope that the actions taken in the future will continue to be focused on maintaining the long-term fiscal health of this district, which will serve to provide our key administration and our staff with the resources that are necessary to continue providing an excellent education for our children well into the future. And while we're talking finances, I'd like to turn things to a much more happy note. I want to thank and recognize all of the district support organizations. And tonight, a special thank you to the athletic boosters. And in a few minutes, Mr. Tim Kane, who is here tonight, will represent the athletic boosters who are going to make a significant contribution financially to the schools. And finally, I'd like to offer a special welcome to the staff, students, and families from Wilcox and Bissell Elementary, from the Dodge Intermediate School, from the R.B. Chamberlain Middle School, and from the Twinsburg High School. I know that you're here tonight at a special invitation of Mrs. Powers for some special activities, so without further delay, I would like to turn the meeting over to Mrs. Powers for the superintendent's report.
Mr. Stuber, if I could ask, we adjusted the agenda to put our committee reports before the students, as there's a CVCC update, so if that's all right with you, we would like to make that adjustment. It's a little out of the norm.
It is out of the norm, but that's fine.
Thank you.
Mr. Shebeck, I think we have you first on the agenda. Thank you, Mrs. Powers.
You're welcome.
Well, thank you for that consideration. Just a few things to report tonight. I wanted to touch on some of the things the students were doing, some of the things we're doing with the facilities over at the Career Center. This month we hosted Student and Parent Information Night, and for those that may not be familiar with this is basically an open house for the students and the parents to come see the Career Center, view the programs, talk to the instructors, see if it's something that they might be interested in. It's always been very well attended and it's always been very crowded, so this year we did something different. We actually did 2 nights and kind of took a shot at it and see how it would work. And it was very highly successful, I should say. On December 3rd, we had 725 visitors throughout the building, and with 443 students that visited all of our career and technical programs and were able to chat. And it wasn't as crowded because we did have the second night and we weren't sure how that was going to work out. But on the 8th, we had our second night with 650 visitors and 530 students that visited our programs. So all in all, we had 1,375 visitors and 973 potential students that came and saw the Career Center. So it was a great experience, and I think be a new tradition, just splitting it up. 2 nights, being able to give people options and hopefully kind of disperse the crowds out over those 2 nights. We also had students in our programs helping out and making a difference in the community. The building and property maintenance and heating and ventilation students joined forces and collected non-perishable foods that will go to the Emergency Assistance Center in Northfield Center and to the Rock Food Pantry in Garfield Heights and Project Hope Food Pantry in Brooklyn Heights. So we commend them for their efforts during this holiday season. The health career students held a blood drive on December 4th and collected 24 pints of blood. The teaching profession students collaborated with the Hope Instead Senior Care Center and did a Be a Santa to Senior initiative. So they had kind of adopted a senior and were like their secret Santa, so that was very successful as well. The programming and software development raised $339 by sponsoring a dress down day at CBCC, and those proceeds were donated to Water, an organization that delivers clean drinking water to third world countries. And lastly, the digital design students went to Highland Drive Elementary and did some reading with the children, kind of like a reading club thing. So that was a nice event as well. Lastly, we just wrapped up a pilot with our automotive technology students with Chromebooks. And since most of the auto technology program is an online program now, with the text and all the manuals, we did a pilot to see how that would work with issuing them Chromebooks, and it actually worked out very well. So we're going to actually roll that out into some other programs at the Career Center, and starting with the juniors, so they'll have their Chromebooks for 2 years. So I think they're going to be working with the associate districts in being able to bring that technology to the associate districts as well. So some good things there with the kids. At our facilities, we had a review of our House Bill 264 project, which similar to the project we did here. We started ours 5 years ago. It's a 15-year project, and 5 years into the program, we're already at 50% payback. So we're on track to actually wrap this up probably in about 9 years instead of 15 years. So we're actually expanding the program a little bit. We're going to do a transformer replacement for the building, which has its original transformer from 1972, and it's kind of outdated, and we're going to upgrade that. We also looked at doing some lighting conversions with the fluorescent lights to LEDs, but the payback wasn't that great, so we're going to hold off on that because we think the LED technology is going to be more cost effective as the future comes forward. And lastly, we are almost moved into our new Ramtech facility. The floor was finished about 2 weeks ago, and they were able to start moving equipment back in, and we are on track for the ribbon cutting on January 14th. So we hope everybody can make it. Should be a great event. I got to preview it last week, and it really came out nice. It's a very nice facility. They're trying to clean up some of the older machinery because now that we have a brand new floor and walls and everything's painted nice, some of the older equipment is not looking that great, so the students have been working to clean that up and touch up things. So we have a very presentable classroom and lab area for the open house. That's all I have. Mr. Curtis, do you have anything? Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And lastly, personally, I'd like to thank Ron and Kate for your service. Having been in your shoes, I know it's very time-consuming. Mr. Stuver, you've been the taskmaster, as you summarize in your report there, on funding, and I thank you for all your efforts. And thank you both for your service, and hope you enjoy your time to yourself after tonight. So thanks again. Happy holidays,
Steve.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Couple comments.
Go ahead.
Hopefully Mr. Curtis and Mr. Shebeck take these back. I attended the second open house day and was very impressed not only with the organization, but the student speaker, as well as I stopped by some of the booths and subsequently now signed an application to have a shadow student from Twinsburg High School. So it was very impressive, the student ambassadors in the whole organization, at least of the second day that I attended. So if you can pass that along, I was very impressed with the whole operation that night.
Thank you, Rob. All right, still in committee reports, anything else? Tina, Rob, any other
Yes.
committees? Kate? Thank you for correcting the
It's
path
my last
here.
chance to do that.
Back to you.
Mr. Stuver and Board of Education, good evening, everyone. Good evening to our families. We have a very special program plan that's going to involve a number of our students. But before we get to that, we have a very special program presentation by Mr. Tim Kane. Tim is the president of our Twinsburg Athletic Boosters and is instrumental in making sure that the school district is always looking good. Our kids have lots of facilities and lots of support through the athletic boosters. And this evening he has a very special presentation to make to our Board of Education. At the same time, Board of Education, I've asked Mr. Welker to put together a little PowerPoint that complements Mr. Kane's presentation so that you actually see what this is all about. Welcome, Mr. Kane.
Thank you very much. As Mrs. Powers said, my name is Tim Kane. I'm the president of the Twinsburg Athletic Boosters, and I'm here tonight to present a check to Mrs. Powers and the board for $22,996 for a partnered project that we've been working on for several years, and it finally came to fruition, and it was fully completed over the last couple of months, and it's our new Athletic Booster Hall of Fame and new trophy cases. It's something, it's a place where we can really show off the coaches and the athletes that have distinguished themselves in the last 50, 60 years, all the way up through 5 years ago. For our athletes, here are some photos of what the construction. Again, it's something that we're proud of. The school has done such a great job working with us so that we can show off our athletes and our coaches. So, on behalf of the Athletic Boosters, I'd like to present this check, and we really look forward to doing more projects like this in the future. It's something that we see as part of the Athletic Booster mission, is to help out the school system in ways like this, as well as our standard helping out with equipment and things like that. So, thank you very much for your partnership.
I'm going to ask my colleague, Ms. Kane Criswell, to please come up and greet you and accept the check.
All right, yeah, just give it to Marty.
I have to say, I learned about this actually through Kate, and if you didn't pick up on the name, there's a similarity there. Tim and Kate are brother and sister. Kate mentioned that Tim called her up, I think it was before, the day of the last board meeting, and said, "Hey, what time's the board meeting tonight? I want to stop by." "Oh, okay, great. What's on your agenda?" "Well, I just want to give the school district a check." "A check for what?" And it was a check from the Athletic Boosters for almost $23,000. And Kate said, "Whoa, wait a minute. You're not just going to stop by tonight and just pass off a check that easily. We wanted to make sure that it was properly placed on our agenda and that due recognition was given to not only to Tim as the representative, but to the Twinsburg Athletic Boosters and all of the people that are behind that have raised those funds through whether it's parking cars or other fundraisers. So that's a generous donation. And Tim, I know that this project and that money was a long time coming. There was a lot of work and a lot of people behind that. So Thank you very much, and thank you for being patient, not just dropping by at the last board meeting, and allowing us to actually feature this at tonight's meeting. So very much appreciated.
Mr. Stewart, if I can just expound a little bit on the photo that you see there. Obviously, our kids are so successful competitively. We actually ran out of space for the trophies, and for years the trophies were kind of, the older ones were put on the back shelf, and the newer ones were displayed. With this brand new trophy case, we have an opportunity now to be able to display many, many trophies for many, many years, so we're delighted about that. You see the photos across the top. Those are photos of the individuals who have been inducted into the Twinsburg Athletic Booster Hall of Fame. And so that will continue to grow, and more will be displayed. And that's just a tremendous idea, because you don't want to just put them on a shelf somewhere. We want to be very proud and display all the great things that all of our alumni from Twinsburg High School and R.B. Chamberlain High School were able to benefit from, and the school district obviously as well. So it was a tremendous project, and then there's going to be on the north end of that wall another wall created, and I'm going to ask Chad to talk to you a little bit about what that, the TAB group has been selling bricks, and can you explain a little bit about what the brick wall will look like?
Sure. So we're very excited about this part of the project too. At the very north end of the trophy case, there will be a brick column we're very happy to have received a number of donations for the trophy case project as well, and those bricks will be highlighted in the north end of the trophy case. So thank you very much for that as well.
So the folks who donated for the brick imprint will have their brick right on where you see the tiger paw there on the end, right? That's the north end of the trophy case. So the pillar will be constructed right there, and that should be occurring very shortly. So we are very delighted, Tim, for our partnership. Thank you so much for always thinking the best for our kids, and this is just an example of a great thing that can happen when the school district partners with our parents and our community. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, we have a lot of things to celebrate this evening, but before we get to our students, just a couple of announcements that I wanted to make about some things happening, I think are important for our community to know about. We have big news to share, and our students are going to be nationally recognized in next week's edition of People magazine. As you know, that we have a PBIS initiative here in our school district, Positive Behavior Intervention Supports. And we also have a brand new partnership with Beachbrook. And Beachbrook and the school district are so delighted about this partnership. But because of that partnership, student leaders from Twinsburg High School and R.B. Chamberlain Middle School were invited to Orange High School. It was right around the Thanksgiving break. And Mr. King from the middle school and Mr. Popovich from Twinsburg High School accompanied our students. And it was a program called See Something, Say Something. And it's all about, if you see something that is suspicious, you see something that's a little left of center, see something that concerns you, well then please make sure that you tell somebody that can be of assistance to you. And the importance of this program is that it is actually a program that was created and is now being hosted by the parents of the children who were killed at Sandy Hook Elementary School in Connecticut. So our student leaders were able to participate in a program, did some small group planning, and in the new year they're going to be bringing See Something, Say Something to our schools from Wilcox straight on up, so that our kids understand the importance. If you see something that is just not looking and feeling right, make sure that you tell an adult so that the adults can help fix whatever the problem it is. So the photo taken the day that our students were at Orange High School is going to be featured in next week's People magazine. That is so exciting. And I have the names of our high school students who are being photographed for the People magazine. They are Isabel Strauss, Davion Washington, Marie Picone, Ethan Bernhard, Mackenzie Hartman, and Jalen Tucker. So I'll have to get their autographs, I guess. But congratulations. It is so fun when we're able to have national spotlight on Twinsburg High School and R.B. Chamberlain Middle School. And of course, there's such an important message behind that. And I think when the students came back, they were so affected by the conversation and by the presentation by the parents who have had this tragedy occur in their life. They want to really do something proactive about it. So congratulations to our student leaders, to Mr. Popovich and Mr. King. And get your pens ready for autographs next week. It'll be a great time here in district. Also, parents of our little tigers, it is now time to start thinking about preschool for next school year. If you visit our website and click on the Wilcox Primary School website, we have information about the lottery for the preschool children. It's time to register and submit your interest if you would like your child, if they're a regular, typically developing peer, and you would like consideration for your child to be enrolled in the preschool program for the 2016-17 school year. Please visit the website, get some information, and if you have any questions, either call our board office or call Ms. Villa over at Wilcox Primary School, or Mr. Scott Asti, the assistant principal, who actually oversees our preschool program. So, can't believe we're talking about 16-17, but it will be here before you blink your eye. Also, Board of Education, exciting news today in regard to our Pause on Child Hunger program. You know that we are expanding the program to Dodge beginning in January. And for students at Dodge, if you are participating in our free and reduced breakfast and lunch federal program, you're going to be invited to participate in our Pause on Child Hunger program, which provides our qualifying students with a bag of healthy, nutritious snacks over weekends. Well, we heard today that Dominion East Ohio Gas Company has donated $1,000 to Pause. So we are very grateful to Dominion, and we will be putting that money to good use. This is a program that is totally paid for through donations, and so the $1,000 will go a long way. It takes us about $6,000 a year to support the programs at Bissell and Wilcox. So adding Dodge onto it, and we would have the intention of spreading to our secondary schools in some kind of fashion in the future years. And I do want to say, Board of Education, we just completed our United Way campaign. And what happened in our United Way campaign, staff members were allowed to earmark their donations for the Emergency Assistance Center for the Pause on Child Hunger program. So 100% of the donations provided by our staff members and our kids through some campaigns will go right to the program. And I understand it's going to be nearly $5,000 will be going to that effort as well. So thank you to our staff members and kids that supported that. That's going to go a long way to supporting some kids who could really use the program. So I guess that's all of my comments this evening. You know, I told my staff members to be silly this evening and make faces. This is a very hard board meeting for me because we're saying goodbye and thank you to, here we go, to Ron and Kate. And so you can tell I'm an emotional person. And so we want to celebrate you. We want to thank you so very much for your years of dedicated service. And to begin our program this evening, Mr. Felber wanted to say some words. So Mr. Felber, please take over.
That's not on the agenda.
I know it's not on the agenda, but we overruled you. I said, should I ask Ron? They said, no. He'll say no. Well, good evening. Obviously, this is a momentous occasion, and on the retirement of Ron Stuver and Kate Kane Criswell. So I did a little research. I had to get into the Wayback Machine. And let's go back to 2003. U.S. was preparing for war in Iraq. We tragically lost a space shuttle, and Elizabeth Smart was found alive. Enter Kate Kane Criswell to the Twinsburg Board of Education, and the district has never been the same. On a lighter note, the Do Not Call list went into effect in June 2003. How's that working out for you, Kate? The Terminator became governor, and Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, won 11 Oscars. Oops, wait, that last part was for you, Jeff Criswell. 2003 saw the invention of camera phones, and consequently 18 new school policies were added to the board policy meetings. Like Ron Stuver, you shared in many of the tough decisions over the last 12 years, levy campaigns, the operational change plan, and the erosion of the district budget due to TPP. But enough horror stories. You served with 3 superintendents and 10 different board members. You saw the build-out of the L-Pod and the first synthetic turf at Tiger Stadium. And you participated in roughly 312 board meetings, 1,023 committee meetings, and received 100,003 emails, mostly about bus routes. My numbers might be a little off on that. It might be a little skewed. But on a serious note, your wisdom and dedication to the school district and the community is unparalleled. Thanks for the tremendous impact not only on this board, but the community and our most precious resource, our children. Many, many thanks to Jeff Criswell and the entire Criswell family for sharing you with us this past dozen years. I promise now to delete your cell phone number and email from my phone. And now to Mr. Stewart, to the man I sat to the right of this past year. Ron joined the Board of Education in 2007. Previously, Mr. Stuber was active with levy campaigns and many, many other boards and commissions around Twinsburg. In 2007, former Cleveland coach Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots were in the news for cheating. Yeah, I said 2007, not 2015. The iPhone was introduced in January and then promptly announced that it wouldn't be available until June. Sounds kind of like test reports. Vladimir, got to get through this. Vladimir Putin was Times Person of the Year, and the last Harry Potter book was published. When I dug further into 2007 history, it was rumors you spent hours upon hours with our treasurer, Marty Aho, graphically filling whiteboards and spreadsheets with countless financial scenarios, all aimed to keep our district whole and to keep some mythical demon from turning a line red. Well, I'm pleased to report that the demon is at bay, at least for now. You're leaving the district better, much better than you found it, and a very strong Ohio Auditor awarded fiscal health. Like Kate, you work through thousands of meetings and phone calls, emails, and yes, the dreaded text message. The upside for you is that you can now listen to the radio station of your choice uninterrupted from 6 to 7 a.m. during your commute to the office. Ron, for me personally, you've been a mentor and a rock. Your cell number will not get deleted from my phone so quickly. Thank you to Leanne and the boys for sharing you with the community these past 8 years. We returned him back a little older, but with a record of very few yellow cards. Collectively, Ron and Kate, we're losing 20 years of wisdom tonight. I personally will endeavor to make the best decisions I can, inspired by your wisdom and dedication. Go forth knowing that you have both changed the lives of our children, staff, and administrators for the better. You've helped provide forever skill to thousands. Please join me in a round of what will be probably many rounds of applause for these dedicated public servants. And now back to you, Mrs. Powers.
Thank you.
Have tissues if you want.
Mr. Stuber and Mrs. King Criswell, I'm delighted to present to you this evening proclamations from the state of Ohio. Mr. Aho is going to help me with this too. And the first one is the State of Ohio House of Representatives under the sponsorship of Representative Christina Rogner, House District 37. On behalf of the members of the House of Representatives of the 131st General Assembly of Ohio, we are pleased to pay tribute to Ron Stuver on your service to the Twinsburg City School District Board of Education. Throughout 8 years of distinguished service with the Twinsburg City School District Board of Education, most recently as president, you have demonstrated an unwavering dedication to performing your duties and fulfilling your responsibilities with the utmost efficiency and competence. Always sincere and energetic in your approach to your work, you have given freely of your time and abilities far beyond what was required or expected, and have displayed a genuine commitment to attaining the myriad goal of the district in a skillful and professional manner. The enthusiasm and expertise you have shown in your endeavors have gained you the appreciation and admiration of all those with whom you have been associated. Indeed, you have the satisfaction of knowing that you have provided a valuable service to the community and have established a record of achievement that will stand as a hallmark for others to emulate. Thus, it is with pride that we applaud you on your outstanding service and extend best wishes for the future. And this is signed both by Christina Rogner, House District 37, as well as Clifford A. Rosenberger, Speaker, Ohio House of Representatives.
And of course, we have one for Kate, House of Representatives under the sponsorship of Christina Rogner, House District 37. On behalf of the members of the House of Representatives of the 131st General Assembly of Ohio, we are pleased to pay tribute to Kate Kane Criswell on your service to the Twinsburg City School District Board of Education. Throughout 12 years of distinguished service with the Twinsburg City School District Board of Education, you have demonstrated an unwavering dedication to performing your duties and fulfilling your responsibilities with the utmost efficiency and competency. Always sincere and energetic in your approach to your work, You have given freely of your time and ability, far beyond what was required or expected, and have displayed a genuine commitment to attaining the myriad goals of the district in a skillful and professional manner. The enthusiasm and expertise you have shown in your endeavors have gained you the appreciation and admiration of all those with whom you have been associated. Indeed, you have the satisfaction of knowing that you have provided a valuable service to the community and have established a record of achievement that will stand as a hallmark for others to emulate. Thus, it is with pride that we applaud you on your outstanding services and extend best wishes for the future. Christina Rogner and Clifford Rosenberger.
I'm going to say something just very quick. I'm going to be brief, and if any of you know me well enough, know that's not really an easy task. But I just want to say, and I mean, just the short time that we've served it, you two have both been very supportive, admirable, and inspiration. And I hope Rob and I and our new board members coming on can serve just half as well as you have done and be so committed and dedicated to our schools. So, like I said, I'll try to be short.
Thank you.
I tried to, but
At this point, I would like to ask Mr. Welker to come forward for a special presentation.
Thank you. Is this on?
Yes.
Okay. So thank you, Superintendent Powers. And I also would like to take this opportunity to recognize the spouses of Mr. Stuver and Mrs. Kane Griswold, Leanne Stuver and Jeff Griswold.
If you please come forward.
If you can please come forward. So we would like to thank you for all of your years of service to the district as well. Go ahead. Front and center. So this when I was preparing this, I was looking for some family quotes, and it hit home with this, the importance of family. Michael J. Fox once stated that family is not an important thing, it's everything. And Brad Henry stated that families are the compass that guides us. They are the inspiration to reach great heights and our comfort when we occasionally falter. And in order to be a very effective board member, it's very important to have the support of your family, especially your spouse and your children. This support base is critical to navigate through the responsibilities and the stresses of being a board member and a leader of our district. As a spouse, it's important to understand the numerous phone calls and emails 24/7, the last-minute meetings that board members must attend that necessitate the last-minute schedule adjustments with the family, and then just helping to handle the community's questions, concerns, and needs about the Twinsburg State School District. So we are very fortunate to have such supportive spouses and families, and would like to thank you for all of your support through these years.
These presents weren't on the agenda either.
Sure.
It's a new Apple laptop.
Thank you very
Oh,
much.
yes.
Very nice.
Do you want to read?
How many years are on yours?
20.
No, you go ahead and read it. Go ahead.
In recognition of exemplary service and education, Kate King, Criswell, Twinsburg City School District, 12 years of service.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And now, of course, no thank you would be complete without hearing from our students, our wonderful Tigers. So I'd like to ask our principals who've been waiting patiently with our Tigers out in the hallway to please come forward for your presentation.
This is always the best part of the meeting.
Good evening, Board of Ed, Mrs. Powers. Thank you all for being here. On behalf of the staff and the students who you've greatly affected over your years, we've put together just a little presentation of thank you. So without anything further, I'd like to introduce Shantanu Banerjee from 6th grade, who will be presenting the first slide to you. He's standing there. I apologize. Come on, son.
T is for transcends. Transcends. The work of the school board transcends into the daily lives of the many students in all of the schools around the school district. Watching the budget to make sure that not too much money is spent helps the schools in the district afford new computers, like the new lab that was recently constructed at Dodge, and the new computers in the RBC lab. The openness for new ideas transcends into RBC because it allows clubs like Robotics Club, Art Club, and Drama Club. The one I'm looking forward to the most is Robotics Club. Their commitment to us as students doesn't end with technology. It transcends into the sports as well. I love playing basketball for Chamberlain. Their work transcends into helping educate the whole child, and for one, I'm grateful.
H, helpful. The school board is helpful because they create and provide the schedules. These schedules provide honors classes, which allow students to achieve to their full capacity. Also, arts programs such as orchestra, band, choir, and art help students learn new skills. They're also helpful because they provide clubs. For example, cross-country and drama club allow students to explore talents and interests. Furthermore, the school board provides wonderful trips for the students to go on. For instance, the Washington, D.C. trip allows students to relate things they learn in social studies to things that go on in the real world. In conclusion, the school board lays the foundation for students to have a high-quality education, preparing them for the real world.
Mr. Stuver and Mrs. King Criswell. Oftentimes in education, ideas, policies, and procedures change. Through the years, the two of you have demonstrated the ability to be adaptive with... Sorry. Only 2 seconds in and I've already messed up.
You're
fine. The two of you have demonstrated the ability to be adaptive with those changing times. We appreciate your support through those changes. I'm so sorry.
Keep going. You're good.
Great, right? Great.
I had this. Maybe it was all that waiting. I'm sorry. We sincerely appreciate your support through those changes in the educational world.
Thank you.
N is for noble. Mr. Stuver and Mrs. Kane Criswell have been noble in their quest to serve the community and schools of Twinsburg to the highest degree of integrity. They exemplify nobility when they were faced with making difficult decisions and have always tried to keep what was best for the students of Twinsburg at the forefront of their reasoning. At times, they were challenged to maintain a professional and ethical demeanor in order to maintain the vision and mission of the school district. Mr. Stuver and Mrs. Kane Criswell have served this community and school district with great pride and conviction, which more than anything displays that they have both been noble.
K is for kindness. Mrs. Kane Criswell and Mr. Stuver, we, the students of the Twinsburg City School District, thank you for the kindness you both have shown us over the years of your service to this great district. You have always recognized our accomplishments and always stand behind us in everything we do. We all owe you both our gratitude for your kindness, and thank you for being kid-first people.
Y stands for youth. The youth of Twinsburg have benefited from the board's expansion of services that address the social and emotional needs of students. We appreciate your understanding that students have needs outside of school that affect their school day. O stands for outstanding. Outstanding describes the numerous academic, co-curricular, and athletic opportunities available to students that have been supported by this administration. During your tenure, the board has continued to investigate opportunities that allow students to have fun and positively represent our school district. Lastly, U stands for unity. Mr. Stewart and Mrs. Kane Criswell, with your participation, this board has worked hard to maintain the unity between the schools and the stakeholders that truly embodies the motto, where the schools and the communities are one. Thank you both very much.
Thank you for being you and for helping us be us.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Mr. Stuver and Mrs. King Criswell, Mr. Asti, our assistant principal at Wilcox, really pulled this all together with the help of the other administrators, and I do appreciate his thoughtfulness and his ability to work together and make this happen. So, Scott, thank you so much. That was wonderful. And guys, you did such a fabulous job representing 4,200 other students. That's a huge responsibility.
Mrs. Powers, if we could have the students just stay put for a second, Kate and I would like to give them a little gift to say thank you to them back. So.
Ron, did you get Panina at the end? Yeah.
Right back. I have to ask, does anybody have a brother or sister that's with them here tonight? You do? Guess what? Are they here? That's okay. You know what? Take that home to your brother or sister, okay? If they came to this meeting and had to sit through that, there you go.
Right? Can I get one?
Take that to your brother or sister. Anybody else done this? Yeah. You guys all sat through this whole meeting. You got one coming, okay? You deserve a bit. Thank you very much. And parents, thank you very much for your support. On behalf of Kate and myself, we appreciate your support as community members, and thanks for bringing the kids out today. The best part of these school board meetings is always when we start off with student achievements and recognition. And I know it was kind of reversed tonight, but it reminds us always before the meeting why we're here when we have the kids in front of us at the meeting. So thank you.
Mr. Stuver, that concludes our program for this evening.
Folks, we do have some refreshments out in the lobby. The first thing we need to do is the board's going to make a motion to go to recess, and then we'll join you out in the lobby. And if you'd like to stay for a cupcake or a cookie, please do. A motion then for the board to move to recess.
So moved.
Mr. Felber, a second.
Second.
A second by Ms. Davis. Without objection from my colleagues, by unanimous consent, the board will now be at recess. I would like to entertain a motion for the board to reconvene, please.
So moved.
Mr. Felber, a second.
Second.
Second by Ms. Davis. We'll go ahead and do the roll call. Mr. Aho?
Mr. Felber?
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Kane Criswell?
Yes.
Mr. Stuver?
Yes. And
Yeah.
Mr. Waldron is still on vacation. All right, I do not have any blue cards this evening. Mr. Aho, anything turned in this evening for remonstrance? All right, we will move past remonstrance now to the items requiring board action tonight. Under agenda item I, the treasurer's report and recommendations. Before I go through these, Mr. Aho, any comments this evening?
Yeah, one on the fourth item there. That's something we need to do every year. We need to do it like in December, January-ish. And what it is, it's requesting that the Summit County Fiscal Officer send us any tax advances that they have. This is like something a little more recent development. In the past, the county used to just send them to you regardless. That's how the law reads. It's kind of a thing where the county can send it to you if they want to, or somewhere along the line, the county just said, if you want these, then you really need to request them. So that's really what this is, just a request for them to send us the tax advances.
Okay, thank you. All right, without objection from my colleagues, I'll read items I-1 through 4 together, consent agenda. Item I-1, resolved that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves the following meeting minutes. Those are from the regular meeting of December 2nd, 2015, which were sent to the board under separate cover. Item I-2, that the Board of Education accepts the following financial report for the month of October 2015, the bank reconciliation, general fund financial summary report, and the financial report by fund, which were also sent to the board under separate cover. Item I-3 is the Board of Education to accept the check register for the month of September 2015. Total, including payroll, is $4,596,418.36. And item I-4, this is a resolution authorizing the advance of local taxes by the county fiscal officer for the tax year 2015 and payable in 2016. I will dispense from reading the whereases and read the final resolution that the board is approving tonight. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Twinsburg City School District, Summit County, Ohio, that the board declares the necessity of receiving advances of local taxes for the prompt and efficient operation of the school district and directs the county fiscal office to make such tax advances for tax year 2015 and payable in 2016 to the Twinsburg City School District per section 321.34 of the Ohio Revised Code. Is there a motion for these 4 agenda items, please?
So moved.
Mr. Felber with the motion, a second? Second by Ms. Kane Criswell. Any further discussion on these 4 items? Roll call, please.
Mr. Felber?
Yes.
Mrs. Kane Criswell?
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Stuver?
Yes. And those 4 items pass 4-0. Next are action items under agenda item J regarding personnel. Again, I will read these together, consent agenda. Item J1, that the Board of Education accepts the certificated licensed personnel and/or contract recommendations detailed in the attached exhibit J1 as per the dates, terms, and other applicable conditions specified pending satisfactory ORC background checks. J2, that the Board of Education accepts the classified personnel and/or contract recommendations detailed in the attached exhibit J2 as per the dates, terms, and other applicable conditions specified pending satisfactory ORC background checks. And item J3, that the Board of Education accepts the supplemental contract recommendations detailed in the attached exhibit J3 as per the dates, terms, and other applicable conditions specified pending satisfactory ORC background checks. A motion for these 3 agenda items, please.
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Davis, a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Felber. Any discussion on the matters of employment? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Felber?
Yes.
Mrs. Kane Criswell?
Yes.
Mr. Stuver?
Yes. And those 3 items pass 4-0. Next, under new business, we have a total of 8 items. The first 6 I will read together, consent agenda. K1, that the Board of Education approves the below listing of items to be deleted from inventory at the R.B. Chamberlain Middle School. Item K2, that the Board of Education approves the attached listing of items to be deleted from inventory. These are technology items listed in K2. Agenda item K3, that the Board of Education approves the contract with the Mayfield City School District for the purpose of placing a student at the Mill Ridge Center for Hearing Impaired program for the 2015-2016 school year for a total tuition cost not to exceed $34,458.03. This was sent to the board under separate cover and is a general fund expense. Item K4, that the Board of Education approves the contract with the Northeast Ohio Network for Educational Technology, or NeoNet, based in Cuyahoga Falls, for the use of the on-base document management service per the terms and conditions set forth in that agreement, which was sent to the board under separate cover. This is a general fund expense. Item K5, that the Board of Education accepts a donation from the Twinsburg Athletic Boosters in the amount of $23,000. This donation supports the construction of the new trophy cases at the Twinsburg High School as per the attached exhibit K5. And finally, item K6, that the Board of Education approves Lori Slattery as the interim suspension appeal hearing officer, superintendent's designee for the 2015-2016 school year. Is there a motion for these 6 agenda items, please?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Felber, a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Davis. Just a few comments on item K. 3, we've seen this before. Just a comment that the Mayfield Schools actually has a very good hearing impaired program, and it is something that requires specialty services, I guess, if you can call it that. And every now and then when we have students that have special needs with respect to hearing issues, we send those students to the Mill Ridge Center in Mayfield. On item K4, this is a resolution to approve working with NeoNet to use an online historical record storage system. So basically it replaces paper storage and a multitude of file cabinets across the district and allows us to move that paper storage into an online form. Just keeping up with technology, I guess, is the summary for that. And then the last thing, I think, just to make mention under K6, Lori Slattery is the interim. That helps us while Belinda McKinney is on leave, and it requires a principal's admin license, so that's why we had to make this as a resolution and use Lori, because she has the appropriate license for that position. Any other comments, Mrs. Powers and Mr. Welker, on any of the items? My colleagues? Roll call, please.
Mr. Felber?
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Kane Criswell?
Yes.
Mr. Stuver?
Yes. And those 6 items pass 4-0. And finally on the agenda, we have 2 items. These are both permanent improvement expenses. I'll read these together. Consent agenda. Item K7, that the Board of Education approves an agreement with Garland DBS Incorporated of Cleveland, Ohio, for the Board of Education Office Roof Replacement Project through the U.S. Communities Purchasing Consortium per the terms and conditions set forth in the agreement, and at a cost not to exceed $52,830, which was sent to the board under separate cover. And again, this is a permanent improvement expense. And finally, K8, that the Board of Education authorizes the Director of Business Services to sell the 2003 blue Econoline Ford van, which has been determined to be no longer needed for school purposes. The bus will be posted on an online auction site, Bus Movers and More. That company is based in Euclid, Ohio, and the net proceeds of this sale will be returned to the Permanent Improvement Fund. Is there a motion for these 2 agenda items?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Davis, a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Felber. Any comments, discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Felber?
Yes.
Mrs. Kane Criswell?
Yes.
Mr. Stuver?
Yes. And those 2 items pass 4-0. Finally, on the agenda under miscellaneous, I know Kate and I were saving a few farewell comments to the end. I will defer to my colleague, Ms. Kane Criswell, to go first.
I'd like to thank Kathy and Chad and Marty and everyone that participated in putting together activities. It's really, it's strange when you get to this moment, how bittersweet it is. And it's certainly fun to, maybe drag it out ever so slightly to, as it is, as it is our last meeting, and to just, enjoy each other's company for our last meeting. So thank you so much. It was really very touching. The kids, of course, are always the best part. So appreciate it. Thank you. I'd also like to just take 2 seconds to thank certainly the community for all their support over the past 12 years, including the feedback forums, initiatives that we've had over the years, fundraising activities, and certainly the support of our levies over the years. That your support is felt every single day in every one of our buildings with all of our students. So I appreciate that. Certainly thanks to the students and their families. Of course, that they're at the center of the district. And their enthusiasm and hard work makes us proud as a board, and certainly proud as a community. So thanks to the students for sure, and their families, because we all know their accomplishments are directly linked. So want to make sure I call them out as well. Another group I specifically want to call out is our staff. It's really, I've had a very unique view of the role of the teacher and all of the support staff that work in our district over the past 12 years. And wow, what a hard job. It's day in and day out to get the results that they do in the environment we have with things changing constantly. It's really remarkable. And I think it is by sheer will and hard work, and and certainly the contributions of the other stakeholders in the district, the students and families. But our staff is a remarkable group of people, and I will miss working with them and seeing them. I also want to thank our administrators, again, an extraordinarily hardworking team, and also leading us through the landscape that has challenged us, whether it's through excessive testing, or lack of funds, or whatever the issue du jour is at the moment. They rise above, and it's consistent. So in particular, I'd like to call out some of the folks that I have worked most closely with. Chad, you're one of our newer members, but you've made such tremendous accomplishments in such a short amount of time. I know you're a shining star, and I really look forward to seeing what is coming down the pipeline with you, because I know it's going to be great. So I thank you. Marty, you have been with me the whole 12 years, and I think you're the only one. I don't know if that's a comment on me or you, but no, Marty, and I know I don't have to tell, I don't have to publicly acknowledge this, but I want to, that your level of professionalism and skill, and let's just say it, your patience to talk about school funding over and over and over, and just to ensure that the community understands the complexities of something that they don't think about often, or don't live with the way you do, is impressive, necessary, and the fact that we're in the financial health that we're in is in large part due to your contributions. And I don't even have to mention all the awards you've received over the years, because hopefully we've talked about it enough that everybody knows. But thank you very much.
Thanks.
You've been,
Thank you.
very patient, I know, with me personally over the years. I've asked the same question about 30 times in 1 month. So thank you. Kathy, you are just an exceptional leader. And it has really just been a privilege to work with you. I wish that the community had the visibility that I do and the rest of the board to how hard you work every single day. And that includes Saturday and Sundays, not just Monday through Friday. You are really a treasure to our district, and it blows my mind how hard you work for our kids to be successful, not just in K through 12, but after they leave our district. And you were just a gold mine, and I'm so glad we found you.
Thank you.
So I also am really looking forward to seeing what's next for you and what you're going to bring to us, because I know it's going to be spectacular. So, and you guys are really a crazy combination team. I really, think so highly of all of you. I'm looking forward to what's next. And then lastly, but certainly not leastly, I just want to thank my fellow board members. including the new ones, and then some of the moldies out there. Did I say that? Did I say that? No, I'm sorry. No, it was such a pleasure that I'm so glad that you were able to join, because the other significant, I think, part of serving on the board is the other members, and I appreciate the patience that you have all demonstrated. I know I'm not always easy to work with, and certainly I know we all have crazy schedules, and mine has been particularly crazy this past year. And I appreciate everyone's patience as I try to navigate those waters. I just think our success is our ability to work together, and so I appreciate your willingness to work with me in tough times and good times. And I can't finish my thank yous without calling out Ron specifically. He has been my partner in crime since he joined the board, and has just been certainly a confidant and an advisor, and someone whose opinion I respect tremendously. And also, the community is just so lucky to have had you for the 8 years that they have had you serving on the board in a leadership capacity, especially through such difficult financial times. And so I just, as a community member, want to thank you for your service, and as a fellow board member for just your support and just good times.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Well, is that it?
That's it.
I didn't want to start talking if you weren't done. I have to echo what Kate said, and I won't duplicate it. And as is typical for me, I prepared my remarks because I needed to get my thoughts in order. But I do want to say thank you, Mrs. Powers, for what you and your staff did tonight. First off, the cookies are great. But it's always a pleasure having the kids here at every board meeting, and to have them here tonight to recognize board members was even more special. I mean, usually we're recognizing them for their achievements, so it was kind of reversed tonight, but it was still great to have them be a part of this. And we've said it over and over again, all of us, that having them at these meetings at the beginning always reminds us. It serves as a reminder of why we're here, rather than just stepping into a board meeting and passing a bunch of items on an agenda. To start the meeting off with the kids is great. So tonight marks the end of my second term, which is a total of 8 years as a board member. Board of Education, not as many years as Kate, but still a long time. And members of the Board of Education are elected to terms of 4 years, and every 2 years seats on the board are up for election. And in 2013 there were 3 open seats when our colleagues, Steve Shebeck, Dave Andrews, who was here tonight, and Steve was here earlier, and also Paul Crosby, decided not to run for re-election. And this year, 2 open seats as Kate and I decided not to run for re-election. And I think, Marty, as you and I were talking before the meeting, I think for the first time for whatever memory we can count, there's going to be 5 members sitting up here in January, and the longest serving will be the 3 who were just elected and have 2 years of experience. That's a total of 6 years of experience on the board. I think the good news is that you guys have all done really well to get up to speed. And your speech tonight was great, by the way. Thank you, Rob. And the 2 new folks, Matt and Mark, who are here tonight. I mean, first off, Mark brings years and years of experience in the educational community. And then Matt and Mark, too. These 2 gentlemen have been bugging me and bugging Marty and bugging Kathy for years. They've been preparing to be on this board for years. So not to fret. The board is going to be just fine. And I think it was interesting last month when Mr. Deersing was here and he was talking about historical things, and he said, I was looking at these records, what was it, 1950 something, there was a board meeting, and he said in the board notes they were talking about finances. Well, I guess I'm just repeating what's been repeated over and over, and it's going to continue. So, but I do remember a conversation several years ago that I had with Paul Crosby when I attempted to twist his arm and asked him to consider running for re-election. And Paul simply stated, 4 years is a long time on the board. And as I reflected on that comment recently, I realized he was right. when you consider all of the meetings and all of the time outside of meetings that you commit your energy and your mental capacity, it can be exhausting. Over the last 20 plus years, for me personally, I've volunteered my time to different local organizations, as a trustee at my church, as a leader with the Cub Scouts, soccer club, baseball league, different committees with the city, different committees with the school district, and finally as a school board member. And I've learned firsthand that there's a significant difference between saying, hey, I'll help, and actually serving as a board member. And then, even more significantly, the burden that you accept when you take on the responsibility, as I say, to actually sit in the chair. Being a president of any organization means that all of the big challenges and the decisions ultimately find their way to you, and that can become a very tiring thing after a prolonged period of time. Very rewarding, but very tiring. Just a reminder, and this is where Ron puts on his business hat again, members of the Board of Education are elected by the community, and thus we are the advocates and representatives of the voters and the taxpayers of this school district. Our purpose is one of governance, not school management. The school board is directly responsible to employ the superintendent and the treasurer and to work directly with these individuals to establish goals and policy. It's the superintendent, the treasurer, and their respective staffs that manage this district on a daily basis. And I think Kate summed it up pretty well, the hard work that you guys put in. School board members make many decisions that have a direct impact on the fiscal well-being of the school district, and thus a primary responsibility is to be a good financial steward of the taxpayers' dollars. The reasons that someone chooses to be a member of the Board of Education are varied. While some are drawn to the public spotlight, others are simply called to civic duty as a matter of service to the community in which they live. I remember when I was interviewed for my first election, I was asked what my agenda would be. I didn't have an agenda. I simply wanted to offer my time to the community to serve in the capacity as a school board member and to give back to the community that we've called home now for almost 22 years. Ultimately, I just simply wanted to serve this public institution which has been established to provide education to our children. Board members bring different styles and various experiences, and our collective viewpoints and our ability to listen and to debate in a respectful manner has been the hallmark of our successful working relationship as a board, both past and present. At first, I learned about being a board member under the leadership of Bill Buslitz. And I missed the lessons, as we often talked as a board about the history of Twinsburg that was offered by Steve Shebeck, and the very insightful, thoughtful comments that would come from Paul Crosby. Dave Andrews and I have had and continue to have discussions regarding legal and financial matters that have been most beneficial as I have served in this role. And my friend Kate, well, she's been like a sister to me. You have provided the balance that I have needed when the road got tough. So thank you, Kate, for being there to listen and listen again and listen again and to keep me on that rational and objective road that we've traveled together. Being an elected member of a Board of Education requires that you divide your attention, and this means less time spent at home. And even when you're at home or at work, you're often distracted by the daily activities that occur in the school district. Text messages and phone calls. Always welcome, Mrs. Powers, even after tonight. I just may not be able to cast a vote, but I'll still listen. But this means that your spouse and your families have less of your time. And thus, I want to recognize my wife, Leanne, who by proxy has also served, even if indirectly, by providing support and encouragement. Thank you, pal, for your support during these past years. I appreciate your patience to listen to me when I needed to vent, and I love you dearly. So tonight I wish to say thank you to the community for placing trust in me to serve on your behalf. Thank you to the great staff of this school district, as Kate said. Our boys, 2 boys, K through 12. What a great educational experience for our kids. Twinsburg School District, these Tigers rock. Thank you for caring about the education of our children, and a special thank you to our key administrators, whom I've had the opportunity to work with so closely. Chad, as Kate said, you're new in your role, but you're not new to this field, and you have been awesome in your time that you've been here, in the short time you've been here, just awesome. And when I think about the thing that we voted on tonight to fix the school roof at the board office, I mean, that was all because you had some plane do a flyover, and we actually put some thought to the methods for which we were choosing which project to do when. So that was great. Mr. Aho, you have provided a solid financial foundation for this district, and I have learned much from you. And I don't think Rob's comments were too far off the mark. I've spent time in your office, and that little financial blue book, I actually got geeked out and read that thing. And I don't know too many people in this state who probably read that silly thing. But he gave that to me before I became a board member. And that's where I started, was back on that strategic committee, and I served on the finance committee, and that's where I learned about this thing called TPP. And I said, we got to fix that. It's not fixed, but I guess we keep pushing the line out, don't we?
Yep.
So thank you. And to Kathy Powers, you, my friend, are a workaholic. You care about this district and the students more than anyone I know. And this board has asked much of you over these past years, and you have performed admirably. I commend you on the work that you do, and I will miss our regular conversations about the work going on in this district. But I know that with your hands on the wheel, this ship is heading in a good direction. And thus, from one board member to my colleagues, thank you for your friendship and for your service to our community. I appreciate the opportunity to have served with you, and I wish you well. To everyone, thank you. I will now pause and defer to my colleagues and the administrators if there's anything else to offer under miscellaneous.
I can't follow that.
Marty? Mrs. Powers?
I think you should make the motion to adjourn.
Actually, if no one has anything else, I would like to make the motion to adjourn and ask Kate to make the second. So there's a motion and a second. Does anybody want to discuss the motion to adjourn? Roll
You
call,
have that
please.
book handy? That book?
Yeah, it's not discussable. Roll call, please.
Mr. Stuver?
Yes.
Mrs. Kane Criswell?
Yes.
Mr. Felber?
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Thank you. That motion passes 4-0. I'd like to thank everyone who attended tonight and stuck with us. Board of Education is now adjourned. Thank you.